Hi, today we'll be making breaded pork chops, green beans, roasted red potatoes, and a brown sugar sauce. Alright, I'm going to first start by showing you guys what equipment and ingredients you're going to need. So first, starting off with equipment, you're going to want a couple pairs of tongs, a spoon, a fork. I have two containers here that I'll use for breading the pork chops, one for eggs and one for the breadcrumbs. A mixing bowl, a small saucepan, a saute pan with a lid, and then 2 baking sheets. And then you'll need a cutting board and a chef's knife. On to ingredients. So for the pork chops, you're going to need 2 cups of breadcrumbs. I'm using already seasoned breadcrumbs. You can use any that you want. You'll need 2 eggs for breading. Then for the potatoes, you're going to need 1.5 pounds of potatoes, 2 tablespoons oil, 3/4 a teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, 1 tablespoon garlic. Then for green beans, you'll need 1 pound of green beans, 1 tablespoon oil, a teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of pepper. And then for our brown sugar sauce, you'll need 1/2 cup of ketchup, 1/4 cup of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons Worcestershire, a cup of brown sugar, and a tablespoon of garlic. Alright, so we're going to first start off by doing our potatoes. So in a mixing bowl, you're going to want to add 2 tablespoons of oil, the 3/4 a teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, and a tablespoon of garlic. And then we're going to cut up our potatoes, and as we're cutting up our potatoes, we can just put them right into the bowl. So we're going to cut the potatoes in about 1/2 inch pieces or wedges today. So something about that size. Alright, so now that I've cut up all my potatoes, we're going to give it a stir in the bowl to get it nice and coated with everything. And then we'll be putting it on an ungreased baking sheet in a 400-degree oven for about an hour, but we're going to be doing it in 15-minute increments just to give it a nice stir. Alright, so now we're going to put these on a baking sheet. It's an ungreased baking sheet, and we want to put them in a nice even layer so we can make sure that they're cooking evenly, because if you get any stacked up on each other, they might not cook all the way. And then we're going to get all this extra stuff out and just spread it all over. Pop these in the oven. Alright, so now that it's been 15 minutes, we're going to stir up our potatoes just to make sure they're cooking evenly. This also helps to see if some of them are sticking towards the edge here, to just move them around a little bit. And again, you want to get it in a nice, even one layer so it cooks evenly. And then we're going to pop these back in for another 15 minutes. And you'll keep doing 15-minute increments until they're fully cooked. Alright, so now we're going to bread our pork chops. So I've got my 2 eggs beaten, and then I have some of my breadcrumbs in here. I've saved a little bit in the container just so we can add it as we go, just in case we get a little low on stuff. So the process I like to use for breading is keeping one hand dry and one hand wet. So I'm going to use my right hand to do the eggs, and then my left hand to do the breading. It just makes it for a little bit easier. So you'll soak it nicely in the egg wash, and then put it right in the breadcrumbs, and then just get it nice and coated and pressed in with breadcrumbs. And you'll do this with all the pork chops you're using, and then we will put them on our tray. And then once I'm done breading them all, we'll put them in the oven. Alright, so now that I've got all of our pork chops breaded, we're going to put these in the oven for 20 minutes to finish cooking with the potatoes, because they should be done around the same time. So now we're going to start on the brown sugar sauce that we're going to make, so that can get simmering while the pork chops cook. So you're going to first add in your brown sugar. in your pot, and then Worcestershire soy sauce, garlic, and then the ketchup. So we'll give this a nice stir and then get it to a nice simmer or so and just let it simmer and cook while your pork chops are cooking. Alright, so now that our sauce is simmering, we're going to start on the green beans. So first we're going to trim them up. So you'll just want to take a bunch of them and then line them up so the sides are even. And then take your chef's knife and just cut off just about a quarter to a half inch of just the stem ends, because you don't want those parts of it. And then you'll flip it around to the other end and do the same on the other end. Just making sure that you're getting all of them up to the edge of the knife. So then you should have nice trimmed green beans like this. So I'm going to trim these all up and then we'll go to sauteing our green beans. So today with our green beans, we're going to be using a two-step process. We're going to be steaming them, or we're going to be sauteing them and then steaming them, because sauteing them first gets out the extra unnecessary moisture out of them and creates a better snap for them. And then steaming them prevents it from overcooking, as well as maintaining the bright green color. So first you're going to add your oil to your pan and get that was 1 tablespoon of oil, and get that heated up on a medium heat or so. And then you'll add your green beans in. So we're going to saute these for about 5 to 7 minutes, and then we'll do the steaming process. Alright, so now we're going to steam our green beans. So we're going to first add our salt and our pepper. And give it a nice little mix up. And then add in your water, and you're going to want to stir it up quickly and then immediately put your lid on. And now we'll leave those to steam for about 2 minutes or so while we check on our pork. Alright, so I checked on our pork chops and I took them out of the oven because they're at 145 now. So we're going to let them rest for a couple minutes and they'll heat up a couple degrees. And then once they're done resting, I'll slice them up and do a final presentation in the plate. Alright, and here is our final plate of breaded pork chops, roasted potatoes, and green beans.